We take a look at some massive theaters. It's not looking too good. Here's one in the Metro DC area, Tyson's Corner, completely empty on a primetime Saturday. One of Utah's largest theaters at 5 p.m. and 7:40 p.m. both completely empty. The massive TCL Chinese Theater looking pretty rough right now. Not a lot of seats taken at all. And even the busiest theater in Montreal is not getting a lot of attention here either, with 1 seat taken. Theaters in Toronto, not many seats taken. And once again, just no seats taken. Another theater in Toronto. And finally, a theater in Ottawa, barely any seats taken.
Look at me. Sure. Look at me, sure.
I am the Snow White now.
Disney's Snow White remake has become the company's worst nightmare. The film has reached a humiliating new low, sealing its place as the worst-rated Disney release of the decade.
What did you think was going to happen when you chose specifically this actress for the job?
I don't need your business.
If Disney wants to make more woke films that tank at the box office, they are more than welcome to do that, but maybe think of an original idea. Maybe not destroy a classic from my childhood.
We hate the diversity, equity, and inclusion casting and writing in movies.
Nothing has brought me greater joy than watching the Walt Disney Company absolutely panic over the last few weeks.
And once again, the public has said, we hate your woke bull crap.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
I did not like Snow White. The reason why is that the actress that plays Snow White, she acts like a all the time.
I don't need your business.
I don't think they're gonna buy it. I don't think they're gonna watch it. I don't think they're gonna like it.
I just feel like she has this intense hatred for the material that she's working with. She calls it weird.
About Disney, in which they deconstructed the fact that every Disney movie has now flipped over into just being a woke festival of stupid.
They say all you have to do to make your wish come true is let it echo, echo, echo.
It's awful, generic. Never mind that the lyrics make no sense at all. All you have to do to make your dream come true is let it echo.
This is truly like, she has to go. I'm sorry, Disney. She has to go. I don't need your business.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
Well, I'm sorry they didn't line up to see your love quite clearly based on the box office numbers.
We know that they are in full-on frantic mode as we speak because Bob Iger, the board of directors, the many executives over there, they are seeing the negative press.
She thinks she should get paid more because she has to wear that dress. She should get paid for streaming for every hour she has to wear the dress. I mean, talk about biting the hand that feeds you. Not only are you being casted in a classic film to remake it, but you don't seemingly like your own character. So she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
I don't need your business.
Well, folks, as we all know, Disney has gone completely woke.
Doesn't need a prince to save her, and not surrounded by 7 weird people. Oh, okay, just CGI fictional goblins, I guess.
And so hopefully this flops so hard that they finally learn their lesson.
The reason we had Rachel Zegler on the docket is she's an asshole. I don't need your business.
What an idiot I've been as a young person in this industry who has no filter and no idea what she's doing.
You can have female characters that are empowered, that do great things, that are heroines. I mean, that's fantastic. I don't think anybody has an issue with it, but you don't have to disparage men in the process. You don't have to call Prince Charming a stalker. You don't have to say that you could just eliminate him from the whole movie.
Cast a guy in the movie, right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby. It's Hollywood, baby. It's Hollywood, baby.
Hollywood, baby.
Yeah. Weird. So we didn't do that this time.
Well, Andrew, woke is a poison apple and Disney have had a big bite of it. This movie should be called, they should call this movie Snow Woke and the 7 Pronouns. It's so bad, if you were to watch this movie on an aeroplane, Andrew, you'd walk out.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business.
Thanks. Welcome back. In what might be one of the biggest movie disasters in recent history, Disney's live-action remake of Snow White has completely flopped.
speed. And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business.
Thanks. It's not just a typical box office failure, it's a full-blown mess that feels like it deserves its own place in a museum of Hollywood disasters.
One thing that is already universally known at this point by the general public is the fact that Disney is in full-on damage control mode.
I came back, the losses were around $4 billion.
At the heart of this chaos is Rachel Zegler, the film's leading actress, whose public comments and attitude have only added fuel to the fire. While many media outlets are trying to sugarcoat what happened, the truth is impossible to ignore. Longtime Disney fans are upset, critics are baffled, and even some of the people who worked on the movie want nothing to do with it anymore.
Okie dokie. I am walking into Snow White, 2 p.m., now seating. Let's see how empty it is. I hope, it's off the walk we go. I hope. Sound like I hear a couple of people. One, two. Okay. 2.
Somehow, this one film managed to anger its audience, frustrate its own cast, and drag down Disney's reputation, all at once. To put it simply, this movie has become the textbook example of how not to do a remake. And if you thought other recent flops were bad, just wait until you hear how this one played out.
There's a viral TikTok shot in what looks like a post-apocalyptic movie theater, completely empty except for the sad soul filming the fiasco. Another clip out of Shanghai IMAX reveals a whopping 5 people in attendance. That's barely enough to form a decent game of Go Fish, let alone call it a successful screening.
As a good reporter, I went to check it out myself yesterday here in Shanghai. Now, including myself and my friend, the entire IMAX cinema had just 5 audience members. And that is despite Disney going all out in the promotion of the film here in China. There was even a poster in the elevator at my apartment complex.
Let's talk about the numbers first. Disney reportedly spent a staggering $250 million to bring this modern version of Snow White to life. The idea seemed to be that adding lots of CGI effects, a few modern lines, and a new twist on the story would bring in huge crowds. But that plan backfired. The film earned just $195 million worldwide, a massive loss that left Disney tens of millions of dollars in the hole. That's the kind of financial hit that stings worse than stepping on a Lego barefoot in the middle of the night. The situation became even more embarrassing when over 1,200 theaters around the world stopped showing the film altogether. Why? Because hardly anyone was buying tickets. Some theaters were reportedly selling as little as $50 worth of tickets per day. One viral TikTok video showed a theater completely empty except for the person filming. In another clip from an IMAX theater in Shanghai, only 5 people showed up to watch. That's not even enough for a group dinner, let alone a major film screening. If failing at the box office were a competition, Disney would have just taken home the gold medal.
Just write a new story. I mean, that's you don't have to take a classic fairy tale that's been loved for generations and destroy it. You can just write a new story about an empowered girl who wants to be a great leader and not call it Snow White.
Now let's talk about Rachel Zegler. Her acting career had shown promise, but her time as Snow White has sent it spiraling downhill. Rumors suggest she's been struggling emotionally with how badly the movie has been received. Some even say she's been seeking therapy or just looking for a way to disappear from the spotlight altogether. Her co-stars haven't exactly stood by her either.
Rachel Zegler and her behavior. And if it was just one comment, it probably would have been forgotten by now. But it was comment after comment, and it was pissing off everybody, pissing off old Disney fans, pissing off new Disney fans, pissing off Trump supporters, pissing off all of America. And it became such a disaster that they had to shut her up, which was the smartest move they made.
In fact, some have reportedly distanced themselves as quickly as possible. Fans who once admired Rachel's earlier performances are now criticizing her harshly.
I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird. So we didn't do that this time.
Many believe she turned the film into a personal project, rather than honoring the classic tale people grew up with. For some actors, one bad film isn't the end, but in Hollywood, failure on this scale can shut doors permanently.
So one major aspect about why there's a lot of growing issues between Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler is that we know that they have a lot of personal problems with each other. We know that there's a lot of politics driven in between there, as well as other personal issues that really rised when it came to creative differences behind the scenes, and also in the public eye they had a lot of problems.
Rachel's own interviews didn't help the situation. She made comments that offended Disney's loyal fan base. At one point, she mocked the original prince from the 1937 animated film, calling him a stalker and saying the traditional love story was outdated.
Disney has canceled one of its upcoming live-action remakes after Snow White flopped, and I bet some fans are going to be pretty disappointed by this news. Disney has pumped the brakes on its live-action remake of Tangled, and that's a pretty big deal because Tangled was in active development. Greatest Showman filmmaker Michael Gracie was going to direct, with a script from Jennifer Caton Robinson, but now the project is on pause, and it's unclear if that pause is temporary or permanent.
While a few people online praised her for standing up for modern values, the majority were upset. Fans felt like she didn't understand or respect the heart of the story. If you're going to remake a beloved fairy tale, mocking the original probably isn't the smartest move.
Critics saying Disney's too woke, but you're just putting out storytelling.
We are. Look, I don't really like the term woke because I think it's an umbrella term that I'm not 100% sure I even know what it means.
People watch these movies for the magic, not for lectures. The Snow White story has been around for centuries, and millions of fans adore it for what it is: a fantasy about love, kindness, and overcoming evil. Turning it into something completely different rubbed people the wrong way. Even her co-star, Gal Gadot, who played the evil queen, reportedly kept her distance.
You see how young these women are. You know, like this woman, Rachel Zegler, she looks about 12 years old in that clip, who plays the new Snow White. And it really does seem to me that this is like a 19-year-old's version of feminism, right? You've got to reject men. They have to be painted as toxically masculine. You have to spit on true love. Like that is not a value that is universal, that everyone aspires to, well before they aspire to leadership, right? That it's somehow they're mutually exclusive, by the way. You've got to get rid of the love storyline and focus more on how she wants to be CEO of IBM. I mean, like, what's Snow White's plan? She's Snow White. She's like a princess. Okay, whatever.
According to industry insiders, Gal refused to publicly defend Rachel or back up her controversial remarks. It's said she felt Rachel's outspoken interviews only made things worse, adding fuel to an already burning public relations disaster. Fans felt deeply let down. They expected a fresh version of Snow White, yes, but not one that tore down everything they loved about the original. The backlash was not just about the movie itself, but about how it was marketed, discussed, and presented. The lead actress calling the prince creepy? That didn't sit well with families or fans of the fairy tale. But it's not all on Rachel. Disney itself played a big part in this collapse. The studio seemed determined to turn every classic story into something new and politically relevant. But there's a big difference between updating a story and rewriting it so much that it loses its heart. Instead of making the tale more magical, the changes felt forced and preachy. Critics have been quick to point out that Disney's once trusted brand is now facing serious challenges. Fans are walking away. And if Disney thought it could fix everything by slapping modern slogans onto old stories, this failure proved otherwise. There were even reports that Disney might cancel other live-action remakes, like a planned version of Tangled, because they're afraid of repeating this kind of disaster. Insiders say executives are now panicking behind closed doors, unsure of what to do next. Even Disney CEO Bob Iger added to the confusion. When asked about the company being too woke, he claimed he didn't even understand what that meant anymore. That kind of answer didn't exactly calm fans. Instead, it made people feel like the company's leadership was out of touch with its audience. Behind the scenes, things were just as messy. Reports say the production was full of disagreements from the start. Rachel Zegler, fresh from a few early career wins, allegedly wanted more creative control than a newcomer usually gets. She pushed for changes that transformed Snow White into a story about a totally independent woman who didn't need a prince at all. While that kind of update might work in a different movie, it clashed with what fans expected from Snow White. Staffers behind the scenes quietly said the film began to feel less like a fairy tale and more like a lecture on social issues. That shift in tone confused audiences and disappointed longtime Disney supporters. And what about the press? You'd expect news outlets to be all over this story, but many stayed oddly quiet. Instead of digging into what went wrong, they published soft, feel-good stories, or avoided the topic entirely. Some believe Disney used its influence to keep the full extent of the disaster from spreading. Others think the media was just too embarrassed to admit that a project with this much hype fell apart so badly. On top of all that, there are whispers of legal trouble brewing. Some partners and co-producers might be considering lawsuits, especially if they think Disney misrepresented the movie's tone or expected success. In Hollywood, money always comes with conditions, and when things go wrong, people start pointing fingers. Could Rachel face legal consequences for her comments? It's possible, though rare. Studios usually avoid going after their stars unless they believe the person actively harmed the project. Still, some executives reportedly believe her interviews hurt the film's reputation before it even hit theaters. As for Rachel's future in Hollywood, it's uncertain. The entertainment industry can be forgiving, but only when there's money to be made. Right now, it seems few producers want to work with someone seen as part of such a high-profile failure. Time might help her bounce back, but this kind of flameout doesn't fade quickly. So, where does Disney go from here? They're left with a $145 million loss, a deeply damaged brand, and a fan base that's more skeptical than ever. That kind of financial blow might not destroy the company, but it definitely raised alarms among shareholders and investors. Rachel Zegler, for now, is laying low in New York. Reports say she's avoiding the spotlight, possibly regretting the interviews and decisions that helped turn this film into such a catastrophe. Her co-stars, meanwhile, are distancing themselves and moving on, eager to leave this mess behind. The only bright side? Maybe Disney will finally realize that spending huge amounts of money on flashy effects and modern themes doesn't guarantee success. Fans don't just want change. They want heart. They want stories that stay true to the magic they remember. Ifao. Disney thinks it can hide this failure or sweep it under the rug. They might need a much bigger rug. The drama is far from over. There are still whispers of last-minute script changes, secret meetings, and hidden interviews related to upcoming projects. Some people online even believe the media is being too easy on Disney to protect relationships or out of fear of backlash. Will more information about this disaster come out? Probably. And when it does, fans and critics alike will be ready to pick apart every detail. Because no matter how hard Disney tries to control the narrative, the truth has a way of coming out. So, what do you think? Is this the final warning that Disney needs to change its approach? Or is it just another case of Hollywood getting lost in its own ideas and forgetting that audiences want fun, not politics? One thing's for sure, this version of Snow White wasn't a magical new beginning. It was a harsh lesson in how far a project can fall when it forgets the heart of the story.